It's below freezing today, so we're painting inside the car, and I'm using the steering wheel attachment to hold the painting on. That attachment's handy for rainy days or for anything where you have to paint from inside the car. There's 5 reasons why sometimes you need to paint from your car. Either it's snowing, or it's raining, or it's just too cold out, or you need a viewpoint from where your car is parked, or it's just not safe to go outside. So that's why I wanted to figure out how I could make my easel attach to the steering wheel without falling off. What I made was a steering wheel attachment which fits directly onto the top of the gripper of your sketch easel, and then that goes directly onto the steering wheel and gives you a nice secure mount. Let me show you the build. This is a piece of 3/4 inch pine. The inside arc is cut to the curvature of the steering wheel, and I have 2 spacer pieces which open up a gap that will fit around my gripper. The cap piece is glued onto the spacers, and the whole thing fits right over the gripper and is tightened down with a thumb screw. I want it to be nice and smooth, so I use a vertical belt sander, but you can use a sanding block and a piece of sandpaper. And that gets all of the protruding sharp corners smoothed down. Now the slot is cut to a 5/16 diameter. That fits over the bolt and the T-nut, which holds the gripper together. And I cut that other slot on the other side so that I could turn the whole thing over. And I discovered this works really well as feet to support the back of the easel if I want to work in a tabletop mode. Now to finish it, I use tung oil finish, which goes on quite easily with a rag. And this is all the finish you need. If it's well sanded, it'll have a good feel to it. Now, one thing I had to add to this were these little extensions here that curve out, and those just help to hold it onto the steering wheel better. Otherwise, it had a tendency to slip off. So that's real stable and secure. So everything's hanging from the steering wheel here, and I've got all the paints and everything I need right next to the painting. And even though it's below freezing outside, we're able to get a little gouache painting inside the comforts of our car. I'm using a sketchbook primed with CASEIN to give me a base to work over. This house is across the street, surrounded by snow. I do pretty careful pencil drawing on the dry priming, using 2 vanishing points and a ruler to help me do a grid for the perspective. Once I work out the perspective drawing, I can put out my paint. This is gouache, cadmium yellow, magenta, ROWNEY blue, just 3 colors, and white. These colors make a pretty strong purple, which I have to neutralize with yellow. Otherwise, it's just way too strong. But all I really want to do at this stage is put in some darks around the house using a 1/2 inch synthetic brush. I need to knock down that orange a little bit there with some bluish colors. And I can come in with some whites in a minute. Now the shadow side of the house, it's a warm clapboard. It's not totally gray, but I'll get the orange coming through this kind of milky white, cool gray. And I'm really eager to do the snow now, and I'll start with a shadow value. Here the opacity of the gouache is covering that CASEIN underpainting. And then the brighter white where it's lit by the sun. This house is kind of hemmed in by those rocks, the big tall wall of rock that juts up behind it. It's been added to a few times. You can see from the dormer on the back. And it's also hemmed in on the front by the highway itself, of course, but also by the wires. The light comes and goes as I work, as the sun goes behind clouds. And some of the snow is melting off the roof, so we're starting to see the shingles underneath that snow. They parked a minivan next to the house while I've been sitting here. There's the heat tape, the zigzag on the edge of the roof, melting the snow off of it. And I mix up some more white. And I want to just get that sky color coming through the trees. So I'm lightly dry brushing over the top of that gray gouache just to get some random light values. They've closed in the front porch, but still it must be really noisy living in that house with the cars going by. And then the clapboards. Takes a steady hand to do these. And then the relatively white color of the edges along the window. And I'm dry brushing some of the bushes and things around the house. And I love that snow pile in the foreground. It really adds a lot of foreground interest. And that's it, about 2 hours altogether. Okay, thanks for watching. You might want to check out my website or subscribe to my channel. And then here's a playlist with more good stuff and a video that continues the story. So check them out and share with your friends.